Miss Carrie, back again for another story time, and you're back again. We're back again together. So, I'm ready for a great time today, aren't you? Got some really good stories about things that live in ponds. Can you think of some things that live in water, that live in ponds? Not sharks. Sharks don't usually live in ponds, and not whales either. Think smaller. Did someone say duck? That's right, ducks live in ponds. What else? Maybe fish. Depends on the size of the pond, but maybe fish. How about something that maybe can climb on rocks? A frog, yes. You said it. You said turtle. That's right. So we're going to have some good stories about that. And we got some songs and finger plays, and I think we just got to go ahead and get started, right? Here we are together again, let's clap and make some noise. It's time to share some stories and songs with all the girls and boys. So come and gather all around, and then we will begin to open up our listening ears. It's story time again. Our first story today is called Turtle's Flute. Do you think a turtle can play a flute? Well, in this story, he can. This story comes from a country called Brazil. See, a long time ago, Turtle was really good at playing his flute and dancing. He would toot 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 all the high notes and toot toot the low sad notes. And he would dance and play and dance and play. And everyone around knew that when they heard that beautiful music, it was probably Turtle. And most people just enjoyed it for that, just enjoyed listening to Turtle's music. But one day, someone, a man, heard that music playing and thought, that must be Turtle. And do you know what would be really good tonight? Turtle soup. And so he crept up to where Turtle was playing the flute by the bank of a little pond, and he grabbed Turtle, and he, quick as a wink, stuffed him into his bag and put the bag over his shoulder and walked quickly home. And when he got there, he took Turtle out of the bag and put him into a little cage in his house because it wasn't time to eat dinner yet. And he still had some things to do out in his own fields. But he said to his son and daughter, little boy and girl, don't let the turtle out of that cage. Do you hear me? And his little boy and girl said, we understand, we won't let the turtle out of the cage. And so then the man left. And the turtle sat in the cage. And he was not happy because he knew that nothing good could come of this. And it was a little too small for him to feel comfortable. But after a while, he took out his flute, because he still had it with him, and he started to play a little tune. Now the little boy and girl had been playing with their toys in the corner, but the moment they heard that flute start to play, they rushed over to the cage. They said, is that you playing, Mr. Turtle? And he said, yes, it is. And they said, play some more, play some more. And he started to get a little idea in his head, and he kept playing and playing and playing. And after a while, when the boy and girl were thoroughly enjoying the show they were having, the turtle said, you know, I can dance even better than I can play. And the boy and girl said, yes, yes, we want to see you dance. Please dance for us, Mr. Turtle. And the turtle said, unfortunately, this cage is too small for me to dance in. I can barely turn around, let alone dance. Would you mind putting me in the middle of that carpet over there instead? The boy and girl looked at each other and they thought, well, there can't be any problem with putting the turtle in the carpet in the middle of the room. He won't get away. And so they took the turtle out of the cage and put him in the middle of the room. And he started to play his flute again and began to dance. He played fast, wild, happy music. And he danced and twirled, and the boy and girl danced and twirled with him, and it was a really, really fun time for those children. But then the turtle stopped. And the boy and girl were confused and unhappy. They said, "Why did you stop, Mr. Turtle? Please play and dance some more." And he said, "My legs, they're feeling very stiff from being in the cage for so long. I can't dance anymore until I manage to get them to be so unstiff. Maybe if I just took a little walk, I could shake them out and stretch them, and then we could dance some more." And the boy and girl said, "Well, all right, just a little walk. Don't go too far." And they opened the door, and the turtle went out into the yard and stretched one leg and stretched the other, and then ran as fast as he could for the trees and the woods and ran back to the pond. And that was the last that family saw of Mr. Turtle. But sometimes when they would go outside and listen hard, and if you go outside and listen hard, you might just hear a little flute playing, and it might just be the turtle. All right, get your hands ready, warmed up, so we can do a little action play, a little finger play about a turtle. All right? Show me your turtle. It's kind of hard to make a turtle with our hands, but this will do. I have a little turtle. He lived in a box. Can you draw a box? He swam in the puddles and he climbed on the rocks. He snapped at a mosquito. He snapped at a flea. He snapped at a minnow, and he snapped at me. He caught the mosquito. He caught the flea. He caught the minnow, but he didn't catch me. Let's do that one more time, okay? I have a little turtle. He lives in a box. He swims in the puddles. He climbs on the rocks. He snapped at the mosquito. He snapped at the flea. He snapped at a minnow, and he snapped at me. He caught the mosquito. He caught the flea. He caught that minnow, but he didn't catch me. My second story today is about a duck. This is an old folktale that comes from France. And when they told it in France, they called the duck Draketail. But I think we can call the duck by his nickname. They called the duck Quackling because he had such a very, very loud quack. And Quackling was not a silly duck. He was quite smart, and he was very good at saving money. I don't know where a duck gets money, but wherever they get it from, Quackling managed to save quite a lot of it. Eventually, he had saved so much that even the king came to borrow some money from Quackling. But the thing about kings is sometimes they think they can get away with anything. And this king, even though he said he was borrowing money, he had no plans to pay it back. It was more like taking money from Quackling. And Quackling was very proud that the king had come to him, but when time passed, a year, 2 years, he started to get very upset with that king. And he said, "I've waited long enough. I am going to go get my money back." And he picked up a big sack that he had, because it was a lot of money that he had loaned the king, and he started walking. And as he walked, he said, "Quack, quack, quack, I want my money back." Well, along the way, he passed by his friend Ladder, who was leaning up against a fence. And Ladder said, "Where are you going today, Quackling?" And Quackling said, "I'm going to see the king to get my money back." And Ladder said, "To the king? I've always wanted to see a king. Take me with you." And Duck said, "It's a very long way to go, and you're quite big." And Ladder said, "I'll make myself small, and you can carry me in your sack." And so Quackling thought, why not? You can never have too many friends. And so he said, "Quack, quack, quack, ladder into the sack." And the ladder shrunk down, and he picked it up and put it into his sack. And then he walked along further, saying, "Quack, quack, quack, I want my money back." And before he'd gone too much further, he came upon a river that was flowing through the woods. And the river said, "Well, little Quackling, won't you go for a paddle in me today?" And Quackling said, "I don't have time. I'm on my way to see the king to get my money back." And the river said, "I've heard that there are grand rivers around the palace. Please take me with you so I can see them." And Quackling said, "You're a very big river, and I don't know how I would carry a river to the king anyway." And the river said, "Well, I can make myself very small, and then you can put me in your sack and carry me." And little Quackling thought, "Well, why not? You can never have too many friends." And so he said, "Quack, quack, quack, river into the sack." And just like that, the river into a little tiny ball of water. And Duck picked it up, and he put it in his sack, and off Quackling went again, carrying the sack and saying, "Quack, quack, quack, I want my money back." And finally, as he was walking, he thought he was getting closer by now, he passed a tree, and hanging from the tree was a beehive. Have you ever seen a beehive? It's made out of sort of like paper and wax. The bees make it, and there were lots of bees buzzing around this beehive. And the beehive said, "Bzzz, where are you going today, Quackling?" And Quackling said, "I'm going to see the king. I'm going to get my money back." And Beehive said, "Bzzz, please take me with you to see the king." And Quackling said, "I don't know if it's a good idea to try to carry a beehive with me as I walk." And the beehive said, "Don't be afraid, Bzzz. I can make myself small and you can carry me in your sack." And Quackling said, "Well, you can never have too many friends, and you and all those bees would make quite a lot of friends." So he said, "Quack, quack, quack, beehive into the sack." And the beehive shrunk down, and Quackling picked it up and put it in his sack, and then he was off again. Well, eventually he made his way to the palace, and the guards were there, and they said, "Halt! Where are you going?" And Quackling said, "I'm here to see the king to get my money back." They passed along the message to the king, and the king said, "I'm not giving a duck money. Take the duck and throw him into the pit out in the yard." It was a big, deep pit. The guards did as they were told. They picked up Quackling, and they dropped him down into the pit, into the dirt. Thump. And then they left. And Quackling said, "This is not going the way I thought it would." But he had an idea. And he said, "Quack, quack, quack, ladder out of the sack." And just like that, the ladder jumped out of the sack and grew to its full size. And Quackling was able to climb right up out of that pit. And he went all the way up to the main doors of the castle and bang, bang, banged on them and said, "I am here. Quack, quack, quack. Give me my money back." The king said, "I thought he was supposed to be in a pit." "Never mind. Put him in a cooking pot. We'll have duck soup." And so the guards took Quackling and put him into a pot and hung it over a cooking fire. And Quackling said, "No, this will not do at all." And he thought for a moment, and then he said, "Quack, quack, quack, river out of the sack." And the river came flowing out of the sack, growing and growing to be quite a big river, and the little cooking fire didn't stand a chance. Psst. There was no more fire. It was all out. And so Quackling climbed out of the pot and marched his way straight into the castle. And the king was enraged when he saw him. He said, "How dare you be in my presence? I'm going to get you, and I'm going to put you in your place for good." And he started to rush at Quackling with all the guards coming at him. And Quackling knew he needed to think of something fast, and so he did. He said, "Quack, quack, quack, beehive out of the sack!" And the beehive came flying out of the sack, growing to full size, surrounded by buzzing bees who were very happy to be full size again. And they all flew straight at the king, swarming around him so he could barely move. And he screamed and he yelled and he started to run, and he ran out of the castle and they followed him. And nobody's really sure where he went, but he was gone. Well, Quackling searched the castle looking for his money, and he couldn't quite find it. But in the meantime, the news about the king had spread to the rest of the kingdom, the people who lived around the palace. And they all came up to him and said, "Quackling, we didn't really like that king anyway. Would you be our new king, please?" And Quackling said, "Well, you can never have too many friends." And so he became their king and lived happily ever after. Well, we had a story about a duck, about Quackling. Now let's have a song. You know the song Six Little Ducks, right? We've sung that one a lot together. And I know that you know it by heart and can sing along with me, right? Here we go. Six little ducks went out one day over the hills and far away. Mama duck said quack, 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 but only 5 little ducks came back. Good. 5 little ducks went up one day over the hills and far away. Mama duck said quack, 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 but only 4 little ducks came back. 4 little ducks went up one day over the hills and far away. Mama duck said quack, 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 but only 3 little ducks came back. 3 little ducks went up one day over the hills and far away. Mama duck said quack, 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 but only 2 little ducks came back. 2 little ducks went up one day over the hills and far away. Mama duck said quack, 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 but only 1 little duck came back. 1 little duck went up one day over the hills and far away. Mama duck said quack, 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 but none of the 6 little ducks came back. Sad Mama duck went out one day over the hills and far away. Mama duck said, do it really loud, quack, 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 and all of the 6 little ducks came back. Good job. Well, all of those stories and songs make me want to go out to a pond tomorrow and maybe feed some bird seed and things to some of the animals who live there. Remember, we should not feed them things like bread or potato chips, things like that. Don't do that. Only special nature-approved foods. Okay? Oh, if it's a nice enough day, why don't you go see if you can find some animals too? In the meantime, though, I just wanted to let you know that there's a whole lot still going on at the library. Tons of activities and story times and crafts, and make sure you tune in on Saturday. We're going to have a really good craft video that Miss Holly's going to do. Remember Miss Holly? She's still with us. And she's doing all kinds of fun things. And make sure that you come in the library and say hi, all right? I've seen lots of you, and it's been really great to see you coming into the library, but there are still some of you that I miss so much, and I can't wait to see you again in person, okay? All right, for now, roll your shoulders a minute first. Sometimes they get really tight. And let's see, everybody. Reach for the ceiling. And touch the floor. Stand up again. Let's do some more. Touch your head. And now your knees. up to your shoulders, like this, you see. Reach for the ceiling. Oh, and touch the floor. That's all there is. There isn't any more. Bye-bye.